All right, let's jump right in. We've all been taught to believe that genius is this unbeatable force. We see someone with a lightning fast mind, a sharper wit, and we just kind of assume they hold all the cards. But what if that's not the real story at all?
I mean, really think about that for a second. In all the meetings, the negotiations, any high stakes moment you've been in, does pure, raw intellect always carry the day? The real world tells a very different and, honestly, a far more interesting story. In this quote right here, this gets to the absolute heart of it. This isn't about being smarter, it's about understanding how people actually work, how we all respond to things like pressure, perception, and timing. The goal shifts. You stop trying to win the argument and start trying to shape the outcome itself. And this distinction is everything. The person with raw intelligence, they're focused on making the next clever move. They see a debate, a competition they need to win. But the strategic mind, it's operating on a completely different level. It's not just looking at the next move, it's seeing the whole board, the patterns, the psychology of the other player. So where do you even start with a shift this big? Well, before you can influence any situation out there, you have to master your own internal state. This is all about building a mental foundation that is absolutely unshakable. So, this inner fortress, it's built on 3 key pillars. First up is awareness, which is just seeing what's really going on beneath the surface. Second is emotional neutrality. Think of this as your mental armor. And finally, you have to guard your mental energy because your focus is your single most valuable resource.
And this first one is a total game changer. Well, everyone else is getting bogged down in the what. The facts, the figures, the logic. The strategic mind is tuned into the how. How are people reacting? Who's really in charge here, even if they're not speaking? You're not just hearing the words anymore, you're reading the entire room. Now, what's so powerful about emotional control is that it stops you from giving away free information. That little flicker of annoyance, that quick smile of satisfaction, that's intel for your opponent. By mastering neutrality, you become unreadable, a total blank slate. And that composure, it creates a subtle uncertainty in other people, and it quietly shifts the entire balance of power right back to you. It's your armor.
Okay, think of your mental energy like your phone battery. Most people let it drain down to 5% arguing about things online or reacting to every little thing that happens. A strategic thinker knows that attention is power. You learn to disengage from pointless battles so you can conserve all that energy for the moments that actually truly matter.
All right, so once that inner fortress is secure and locked down, now you can start to influence the world around you. And this isn't about being loud or forceful. It's about subtle, effective guidance. And here are the tools for the job. We're going to look at how stripping your message down to its absolute core, simplicity, can project incredible authority. How you can use silence as a powerful psychological weapon. How controlling the rhythm of a conversation gives you control of the entire room. And finally, how shaping perception starts way before you even open your mouth. This idea is just so powerful. We're often tempted to use complex language to sound smart, right? But in reality, the exact opposite is true.
You've seen this happen. Someone launches into this super complicated argument, and it might sound impressive for about 30 seconds, but it just exhausts people. It's impossible to remember. But a simple, clean statement, that signals deep confidence. It's easy to remember, easy for other people to repeat, and because of that, it starts to define the entire conversation.
Now, this is a big one. Most people are terrified of silence. We rush to fill any empty space in a conversation. But a strategic thinker understands that silence isn't empty space at all. It's an active tool. When you hold that pause, you create this vacuum that the other person feels an intense need to fill, and they often do, by revealing way more than they ever intended. Just see how it works. The person who is comfortable with that silence is the one holding all the power. The pressure to just say something becomes immense. That little bit of discomfort, that's the tool at work. In most conversations, the pace just sort of happens, right? It's chaotic, but a strategic thinker intentionally sets a calm, deliberate tempo. By speaking steadily and pausing, you actually force the entire room to slow down and sync up with your rhythm. And whoever controls the rhythm, well, they control the whole environment. And this is something people totally miss. Your influence doesn't start when you open your mouth. It starts the second people lay eyes on you. Your posture, your composure, your tone, all of it creates an impression that decides how your words are going to land.
A calm, controlled presence makes every word you say feel heavier, more important.
All right, let's take this to the next level. We've mastered our inner state. We've learned how to shape the interaction. Now we're talking about playing the long game. This is where you see the patterns that everybody else misses.
So these next 3 skills, this is what really separates the good from the truly great strategists. It's all about anticipation, thinking several moves ahead. It's about behavioral analysis, focusing on what people do, not just what they say. And finally, it's about being unpredictable, so you can't be easily read. The reactive mind is always playing catch-up. It's stuck in the present moment, just answering what was said a second ago. But the strategic mind is constantly asking itself, okay, where is this all heading? It's positioning itself not for this moment, but for the outcomes 3 moves down the line.
So here's the golden rule. Trust patterns over prose. Words are cheap, they're flexible. Anybody can promise you the world. But behavior, especially when someone's under pressure or when they think no one's watching, that tells you the real story. That's the truth that polished speeches are designed to hide.
And this is the final, critical piece of the puzzle.
Because if a strategic mind sees your patterns, if they know your triggers, your habits, your go-to reactions, they can predict what you're going to do next. And if they can predict you, they can outmaneuver you every single time. The goal is to be disciplined, but never, ever predictable. So when you put this all together, you can see this profound shift that happens. The entire goal changes. You're no longer obsessed with the small victory of just proving you're right in one little conversation. You have to let that go. Seriously. Stop trying to win the conversation. It's a short-term, ego-driven game that usually makes you lose sight of what you really want. The real power isn't in dominating a single exchange. And that's the real question, isn't it? By rewiring how you think, by becoming more aware, more controlled, and more forward-thinking, you stop being just another piece on the board reacting to moves. You start becoming the hand that guides the pieces. You're no longer just playing the game, you're starting to shape it.